Hi, this is Gabe from FluentForever.com. At this point, you've seen and heard all of the vowels and consonants of Russian. If you're using one of my trainers, it'll take you through each of the sounds you've encountered here, teach you the spellings that produce those sounds, and push them into your long-term memory. And if you're not, that's okay too. The goal of these videos was to give you a passing familiarity with all of the available sounds, so that when you study them in detail, they're not going to be totally new to you. That'll make them easier to learn. In either case, I want to cover three important quirks of the Russian spelling system, so that they don't trip you up when you start delving into the language. And as always, Lilia is here to help us out.
Hi.
We'll begin by talking about how to figure out if a consonant you're looking at is hard or soft.
As in von or von.
Basically, most consonants in Russian are by default hard. You need to do something to them to palatalize them, and generally there are two ways to do that. The first is by using the soft sign, which looks like a tiny lowercase b in Russian. If you stick that soft sign after a consonant, it makes that consonant soft.
Which is what's making the n in von soft.
There's actually a hard sign too, though it's mostly obsolete, since consonants are hard by default. Your next option, which is much more common, has to do with the vowel that's coming next in the word. Basically, most vowels in Russian come in two forms.
A normal non-palatalizing form, a, e, o, u, I, and a soft palatalizing form, ya, ye, yo, yu, I.
The first four of these soft vowels, when stressed and pronounced on their own, for instance when they're at the beginning of a word or if they come after a soft sign or hard sign, start off with a y sound.
Ya, ye, yo, yu. As in яхта, счастье, подъемный кран, and юнга.
But when these vowels come after a consonant, they behave differently. Instead of making a y sound, they make the preceding consonant soft. Normally, for instance, if you put a consonant like l, in front of a normal vowel like a, you're going to get a hard sound for that consonant.
You'll get la, as in lap.
If, on the other hand, you put that same l in front of the soft palatalizing vowel like ya,
then you get a soft consonant, as in ляп.
And you can see in the IPA, the two vowels are the same. They're both a. It's just that the consonant is changing from l to y.
So this is Luke and Luke, and this is Toma and Soma.
Same concept in all of these cases.
The soft palatalizing vowel, ya, yu, yo, is making the preceding consonant soft. L, ляп, l, Luke, t, Toma.
Our next topic is consonant voicing and devoicing. Almost every consonant, in English or in Russian, comes in voiced and unvoiced versions. You can get a feel for this by putting your hand on your throat and saying zzz. You should feel buzzing in your throat. Zzz. And that buzzing means that zzz is a voiced consonant. If you do the exact same thing, but say s instead, you'll find that there is no buzzing. S is the unvoiced version of z. Most of Russian's consonants are paired up like this. B is voiced p, g is voiced k, d is voiced t, zh is voiced sh, and v is voiced f. Now, when you find a consonant on its own, meaning that there are no other consonants right next to it, and you find that in the beginning or the middle of a word, then you don't need to care about voicing. B sounds like b, and p sounds like p. There are two circumstances where you need to start paying attention. The first is when you have a voiced consonant at the end of a word. In that case, the voiced consonant will turn into its unvoiced sibling. In cases like these, a z will turn into a s, and a b will turn into a p.
So the b at the end of grip is pronounced p, and the g at the end of pirog is pronounced k.
They're unvoiced. The second circumstance, where voicing changes around a bit, is somewhat more complex. Russian words often have multiple consonants stuck together.
The language is actually infamous for this, with groups of up to 4 consonants in a row, like you'll find in the beginning of zdrimnula.
So what happens when you have consonants that are next to each other, but some of them are voiced and some are not? Well, we actually run into the same problem in English when we pluralize words. If, for instance, you take the English word ant and you pluralize it, you get ants. There's an unvoiced T and an unvoiced S together. Ts, and those two consonants work together just fine. But if you take a word like bug and you pluralize it, suddenly there's a problem. It's really hard to put a voiced G with an unvoiced S. and say something like bugs. So we say bugs, turning that S into a Z. Bugs. Russian handles this problem by taking the voicing of whatever consonant comes last in the group and using it for all the consonants that come before it. Basically, you look at whatever's happening on the far right side of that consonant group and you apply that to all the consonants to the left of it. So, if the consonant on the far right is voiceless, for instance a K sound, K, then all of the consonants next to it on the left will be voiceless too.
As in obložka, where the zh in the middle turns into a sh.
And if the consonant on the far right is voiced, then all the consonants in the group will be voiced.
As in rюкзак, the k in the middle turns into a g. This is a rule that you get used to pretty quickly because it's so hard to say something like obložka or rюкзак.
This rule also applies across multiple words.
So while a word like sirop on its own ends in a p, if you combine it with gustoi, you get sirop gustoi.
That p turns into a b. Basically, if you see multiple words in Russian, you can often treat them like one long word and apply pronunciation rules accordingly. And so with that, we've covered most of the important rules of Russian's spelling system. We just need to cover a few weirdly behaving letters and letter combinations and we'll be through. So we'll begin with the weirdly behaving letters.
The hard letters zh, sh, ts, and the soft letters ch and sh.
I'm calling these letters hard and soft letters because zh, sh, and ts are always hard, and ch and sh are always soft or palatalized. You don't need to worry much about the two soft consonants. They're actually simpler than other consonants since they always sound soft. But the three hard consonants can behave a bit weirdly. Let me show you what I mean. So usually, if you combine a consonant with a soft vowel, like ya, ye, yo, the consonant goes soft.
D and ye turn into d, v and ya turn into vya.
But if you do that with one of the hard consonants, it's not going to happen.
A zh and a ye together, for instance, do not turn into zhe. They turn into zhe, as in zhemchuk.
This gets especially weird when you try to combine a zh and an e. In Russian, e is a soft vowel, always. And its hard equivalent is actually a different vowel altogether, y.
So when you combine a zh and an e together, you don't get zhi and you don't get zhi. You get zhi.
Basically, the consonant resists palatalization so much that it will turn a soft vowel like e into a hard vowel like y. A similar thing happens with some foreign loanwords. Remember back in the previous video when we talked about vowel reduction and how some main vowels will turn into reduced vowels except in a few foreign words like radio?
Well, this also applies to the ye vowel in foreign words like tenis. Even though words like these are spelled tenis with a soft t, they're pronounced tenis. The T is hard.
And that's about it for the complexities of the Russian spelling system. The only thing left are a few consonant combinations that show up from time to time and are pronounced a bit more simply than they're written.
Basically, if you run into a s and a ch together, as in shastya, you pronounce that combination shastya rather than schastya. If you run into t, s, ya or t, s, ya together, they're pronounced tsa, as in просыпаться and расписаться, rather than tsa. If you see the ridiculous combination of v, s, t, v together in a word like чувство, you can thankfully skip the first V sound and say чувство instead of чувство. And if you run into a d and a ts together, then instead of trying to stumble your way through saying dts, you can skip the d and just say ts, as in 30 рублей.
And we are now through with the whole Russian pronunciation system. To quickly review what we covered in this video, we began by talking about hard and soft consonants, and how Russian indicates soft consonants by sticking a soft sign or a soft vowel after them,
as in Vonь, Luke, and Toma.
We also mentioned that these soft vowels begin with a y sound whenever they're at the beginning of a word or they come after a hard or soft sign,
as in яхта, счастье, or подъемный кран.
We then talked about consonant voicing, and the times where a voiced consonant like z, b, g, d, zh, and v will turn into an unvoiced one like s, p, k, t, sh, and f, or vice versa. This happens in two spots, one at the end of words where all voiced consonants will turn into unvoiced ones,
as in grip and pirog,
which are spelled with voiced consonants at the end and pronounced unvoiced, And the second situation is whenever you see multiple consonants in a row. In cases like these, the last consonant in the group determines the voicing. So if you see an unvoiced k at the end of a group of consonants,
then all the consonants will be unvoiced, as in obложка.
And if you see a voiced consonant, like z or g, at the end of a group,
then the whole group will be voiced, as in рюкзак or сироп густой.
We then talked about some weirdly behaving letters and letter combinations, namely the always soft consonants, ch and sh, the always hard consonants, zh, sh, and ts, which are so hard that they can turn soft vowels like e that come after them into hard vowels like y. And then there were foreign loan words that have soft ye vowels in them,
like in tenis,
and behave as if those ye vowels were actually hard e vowels. And last thing, we covered a few consonant combinations that are pronounced a bit more simply than they're written.
S and ch turn into sh, as in счастье. T, se, and ya, or c, se, and ya, turn into ца, as in просыпаться and расписаться. V, C, T, and V turn into sv, as in чувство. And D and C turn into ц, as in 30 рублей.
And that is all for the Russian pronunciation videos. If you need a hand in memorizing all this stuff and training your ears to hear it all accurately, then grab a Russian pronunciation trainer from my website, link below. You'll have all of this memorized within 2 or 3 weeks. I hope you had fun, and I'll see you next time.